Rockies lead 2-0 as we head to the bottom of the second. There's a look at Jim Tracy, the former Dodgers manager. Last year, the Rockies were 18-28. They fired Clint Hurdle. Jim Tracy took over, and they went 72-44 the rest of the way. They were the wild card winners. Lost to the Phillies in 4 games in the division series. And now Manny Ramirez will get things started for the Dodgers in the bottom of the second. Manny off to a good start this spring, 4 for 7, and he's reached base 6 of 9 times in the spring. He's had a lot better balance that Joe Torre has noticed in, again, just a few games so far this spring. But Joe Torre has really liked the balance that Manny has shown at the plate as compared to the final 2 months of last year.
Well, his leg kick is much more modified, and I'll tell you, when he was going good, I loved the way he swung the bat. I mean, he loaded up quicker than anybody else in baseball, kind of hovered there for a while, dropped his foot and swung his bat. When he came back after the suspension, all that was gone. His timing was gone. He was late on balls. And throughout his entire career, how many times do you see Manny late on a ball?
Not very often. Not very often at all. Manny said that this past off season, for the first time, he took batting practice. That normally he would work out and stay in shape and that kind of stuff. But usually he wouldn't touch a bat until he arrived at spring training. But this year, clearly disappointed in how he finished. He took batting practice throughout the winter. Takes the 1-2, and that didn't miss my bunch, but it's even count 2-2.
You can see that leg kick where he's beginning the leg kick. It's much more modified, as I said, and beginning it much later. He used to actually lift that front leg before the pitcher would deliver the ball, and then he would just hang.
And a called strike 3. Manny knew it. No argument from him. First strikeout of the afternoon for Jimenez. And now here's James Loney. Both Loney and Manny Ramirez will be heading to Taiwan tomorrow morning. 15 hours there, 12 hours back with the jet wind. 6,414-mile flight to Taiwan tomorrow morning. And Ronnie Belliard, who's in the on-deck circle, will also be heading to Taiwan. 3 games in 3 days.
Well, we think Manny's going.
Until he's on the plane. But we believe that Manny's going. First pitch in there for a strike to James Loney. As far as those 3 games, Eric Stoltz will start the first game in Taiwan. Josh Towers the second, and Charlie Hager, who's going to pitch next for the Dodgers today, will start on Sunday in Taiwan. Loney quickly behind 0-2. Joe Torre was saying earlier today that he thinks that James Loney can hit 20 home runs this year. Do you agree?
Well, James thinks he can hit 20 as well. He said that he feels stronger this year than any other year. I think James is an outstanding hitter. I love the way he swings the bat. And they always say if you're a good hitter, your power will come later. He's still a young guy. He hasn't been around that long. I always point to Dodger Stadium and say it's not the easiest place to hit the ball out of. But I think if he gets 600 at-bats, he could hit 20.
1-2 to Loney. Doesn't chase that one. Does he need to pull the ball more? As we take a look at Joe Torre, does he need to pull the ball more if he's going to hit 20, 25 home runs?
Yes. I mean, you do have to pull the ball, especially in Dodger Stadium. You can't be hitting opposite field home runs very often unless it's daytime or late summer. The wind, or not the wind, but the air is heavy and cold at night in Dodger Stadium, and the ball just doesn't jump out of that place. And that's why, one of the reasons why I said I love his swing is because he and Ethier both came up as opposite field hitters. I love that. That's the way you should learn how to hit, and then learn how to pull and learn how to hit with power after you figure out who you are at the major league level and establish the fact that you can hit, and then experiment a little bit more often.
Now the 2-2 fouled away. Loney hit 13 last season. All but one of them came on the road.
Yeah.
Still drove in 90 runs. Ended up hitting 281. So I guess the concern is that if a guy gets too pull conscious, then maybe the average suffers, or maybe they're able to pitch him away and it becomes a more easy out that way.
Both of those things will happen, and that'll happen at times, but every once in a while you take a shot at saying, look, I'm going to look for something dead red, middle in, come off of it a little bit and put it into the right field seats. There's nothing wrong with that in certain situations.
Takes that pitch inside. Is that something that Ethier did more last year?
Yes, absolutely. He showed the progression too, because his natural swing is opposite field into the left center field gap. But he's starting to, clearly getting stronger and starting to understand who he is a little bit more as a hitter.
Now the payoff pitch to Loney. Fouls that one off.
I think what we should talk about too, and I rarely bring this up only to the detriment of myself, but when I talk about my own swing, I was a dead pull hitter. and couldn't learn to do anything else and couldn't hit a breaking ball. So that spells a lot of trouble. If you know how to go the other way first, you see the ball longer, and then you can learn to jump out there and pull balls. The longer you stay successful in the big leagues. I never gave myself a chance to be successful.
Another 3-2 to Loney and another foul ball against the screen, so he's working Jimenez's pitch count up. Again, Jimenez is going to go at least 3 innings today, perhaps 4. In his first start of the spring, like a lot of veterans, he was allowed to drive up from Tucson to Tempe, and it was the day of that horrible bus accident that killed 6 people on Interstate 10, and Jimenez got caught in it, and so he didn't even make it to the game in time. He was supposed to start, but he didn't arrive in time as Loney takes ball 4. Good at bat there by James, lengthy at bat. So he got to the ballpark, and Jim Tracy said, all right, you're not here in time, so we'll just use you in relief. And he was originally supposed to go 3 innings, but because he spent so much time just sitting in a car, not even moving at all, Jim Tracy said, all right, we're just going to give you 2 innings today. So he'll go at, that was for his first start. And then this afternoon, Jim said, Ubaldo will go at least 3, maybe 4, depending on his pitch count.
Well, James Loney ran his pitch count up nicely on that at-bat.
There's Ronnie Belliard. He'll also go to Taiwan tomorrow, so manager Joe Torre making sure that Manny and Loney and Belliard get into today's game. When we leave tomorrow morning, we'll arrive Thursday night in Taiwan. Belliard, one of 2 All-Stars that the Dodgers will be sending to Taiwan. Those first 2 games sold out in 15 minutes.
Wow.
So they added a
basically a Taiwanese all-star team. You know, it's amazing, too, when you were talking about the rotation and who's going to pitch. And mentioned that Charlie Hager's going to go Sunday. I was thinking to myself, well, what day is that for us?
I'm going on the trip, and I don't know what day that is either.
You won't know what day it is for a while after you come back either.
I just know that the time that we leave in Taiwan, I think we're going to land in Phoenix at the exact same time. So it's like we lose Thursday and we have 2 Sundays or something like that.
It's going to be tough to set your watch.
Just don't even bother bringing one. Don't even bother. Don't think about the time zone difference, what time your body thinks it is. Just ignorance is bliss sometimes. Belliard got jammed on that one. It's caught by the third baseman, Ian Stewart, for the 2nd out of the inning.
You look at Belliard when he came over last year and the job he did, basically just stealing the second base job from Orlando Hudson. But if there's a knock on Belliard, it is that he loves to swing at the high fastball. And sometimes he can't get to it, and that was a classic example right there. That was a home run type swing, and the ball, barely got out of the infield. And I know the ball's carrying to left a little better than that.
Well, one of the few position battles that's open for the Dodgers this spring is second base. Ronnie Belliard is one of the candidates, and so is this young man, Blake DeWitt, who spent last season going back and forth between Albuquerque and the Dodgers. If the Dodgers could do it all over again, they would not send him up and down 6 times the way they did. They feel like it wasn't fair to him. But as usual, DeWitt did not complain. He worked hard at second base at Albuquerque last year. He played winter ball. He went to an instructional camp at Dodger Stadium in January, all to improve himself defensively at second base. So he fouls that one away. And the other day, Steve, I asked Joe Torre, when you're making the decision whether it's Belliard, Jamie Carroll, and DeWitt are the 3 candidates at second base, I said, for DeWitt, in your mind, is it how he hits this spring or is it how he plays defense? And Joe Torre said, I know he can hit at the big league level. He's a big league hitter. I need to see that he can turn the double play and play second base defensively. Checked his swing on the 0-2, did not go around.
And it's a little harder than you might think. I mean, he had been playing a lot of third base, and when you get to second base, the ball spins coming at that side of the diamond, spins on you a little bit differently. And then turning the double play, it's 3 different throws that you have to master if you're throwing the ball to the shortstop. And then when you're covering the base, your back is to the runner. That's a scary thing for players.
DeWitt fouls that one off, keeps the count at 1-2. Off to a good start this spring, 4 for 5 with 4 walks.
Yeah, he's hitting 800.
Not bad.
And people forget, too, that he's only 24 years old. You look at the nice crowd on a cold, cool day here in Glendale, Arizona, and we were expecting a little bit warmer weather. That El Nino keeps sneaking up on us.
Can't forget that DeWitt was the starting second baseman in the 08 playoffs. That ball's in the dirt. Loney's going to get down to second base on the wild pitch.
Loney getting dirty today. Excellent reaction there. The only way you're able to move up on a play like that is that if you have a good secondary lead, and Loney's really good at that. You take your lead when the pitcher goes to pitch, you get yourself 3 or 4 more shuffle steps, and then if the ball's in the dirt, you're ready to go. You see this ball in the dirt, this doesn't kick away from Iannetta very far. That's 2 or 3 steps. Look at where Loney comes into your picture. He's already down there so far that Iannetta can't even make a throw down there, and you only get that if you get an aggressive secondary lead.
Now the 2-2. Breaking ball missed outside, 3-2 the count to DeWitt. DeWitt played shortstop in high school. He was drafted as a third baseman. He actually spent 1 year in the minors as a second baseman, but then they moved him back to third, and now, again, back to second base, where he probably profiles better as a hitter. Called strike 3. DeWitt thought that it was ball 4, so 2 strikeouts in the inning for Jimenez. We've played 2 innings here from Camelback Ranch in Glendale. It's the Rockies 2, Dodgers nothing.